Hey guys, it's Lori. Something's been brought to my attention that I haven't dealt with in quite some time. So I kind of wanted to talk about it just to give you guys, a heads up because if something like this is happening to you, you may feel like, you're just crazy and in today's modern world this stuff doesn't happen, but um say hi to Pep. That's my tortie. Of course, they get right in the middle of my camera. Guys, come on. We gotta move out of the way. Hi, Pepper. Okay. All right. Um Sorry about that. There's Boo Boo. Sorry. Okay, hopefully they'll leave us alone now. I'll try to edit that out, but this is a new app, and I'm not really sure if I can do that. So, okay, so, damn it. All right, I'm going to give away my age here a little bit, but I was class of 86. I graduated in 84. Because I had to, it was a long story. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but I had to because different stuff in my life. Anyway, I was out on my own at a young age. Most of you know that I was born with some spiritual gifts that kind of put me in a different kind of place. I always had like a longing and a desire for God. And because of, all I knew as far as, religion or whatever, I was definitely seeking. And many are doing that now. But I grew up in a time, late 70s, early 80s, when black magic, Satanism, and I'm not even sure if it's correct Satanism, Luciferianism, whatever the case may be. I don't even know if it's legitimately that because I don't know enough about what they do. But it was really, really, really popular. It was one of those things that was just really popular. Cocaine and Satanism. And psychedelic drugs. Okay. All right. I totally forgot the name of them. Hallucinogenic drugs. Acid, cocaine, and Satanism were really, really popular then. And, some may say that, people took it too far and it would be equivalent to like today's conspiracy theories, the way people talked about it. But I know firsthand where I grew up, it truly was happening. There used to be a place where we hung out. It was down by the Piscataqua River, and a lot of people hung out down there, partied and everything. We used to cross the river to get to certain places instead of walking around. And we would see a lot of remnants of sacrifice, not human sacrifice, but animal sacrifice. And we saw it all over the place, especially down there. Of course, I grew up in New Hampshire, and southern New Hampshire and Massachusetts were the biggest in the nation for that sort of thing back then. So I don't know if wherever you're from, if it was that big a deal back then, but it really was here. I mean, people that you wouldn't even think would be into that kind of stuff were into that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people that got into it were getting into it because they were seeking, and not finding the answers. It was a different world back then. Anybody who grew up in that era or prior, maybe even the 90s, I don't know, because by that time, of course, I had to adult, but it was a different world back then. It was a completely different world. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, right? When you left your parents' house, you were out for the day. I mean, somebody was telling me the other day, she's like, we couldn't even stay in if we wanted to. Well, Mom, I don't feel good today. She's like, get out. But it's raining out, get out. Unless we're having a massive blizzard, you're outside, And even then, it was like, go build a fort. But anyhow, I got all my kitties around me right now. Because they probably want to eat breakfast. But I just wanted to get this out. And I know I'm rambling right now, but this is a really important subject. So, black magic, Satanism, that sort of thing. It was really rampant. You used to find like all kinds of television shows about it. There were people talking about, satanic ritual murders. We started hearing about people going missing back then. And I'm sure people went missing long before that, but we started hearing about it more and more. Of course, we still didn't have the internet. So, and I knew several people who, I never got into Satanism or black magic. I just never did. But I do know several people that did. And now I went to a parochial school. So it was really small, and you kind of stayed with those kids, So there was one guy I went to school with, and we were in middle school. I don't know how old you are in middle school, right? Like 11, 12, 13 maybe. But we seemed so much older, didn't we? Maybe we didn't. I don't know. I just looked at us, and now I look at kids that age, and there's such a difference. I don't know. Maybe we didn't, and I just think we did. But I grew up in a really, really rough area as well, and maybe that's why. I don't know. But anyhow, I'm not going to say, just because we went to parochial school doesn't mean that everybody was like these goody-goodies, It was just a smaller school. And he stopped, started skipping school a lot. He wasn't showing up. He lost a lot of weight. He started looking really haggard, really like hell. He looked like he was sick. And then he just kind of became an introvert, and he had an altar in his house to Lucifer. I don't know how long this went on. It wasn't a full year. But something happened with him because he ended up like losing it. And like I said, it wasn't even a full year. So I don't know what was happening, but something was happening. And he would never talk about it. When he came out of it and started coming back out again and all of that, he wouldn't talk about it. All he would say is, Satan can come in any shape or form to trick you, even as a beautiful woman. That's all he would ever say. So I assumed something sexual happened, and I could be wrong. Sorry about my kitty. But I assume that's what it was. I met a client years later. She wasn't from New England, but she was from New York City. And she wanted to marry wealth. And she found herself I don't know what kind of art this woman practiced. I don't know if it was voodoo. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was, I don't know. I don't know if it was some kind of African culture, religion. I don't know. It was some kind of magic. And it was a little shop in New York City. And she was actually dating Armand Assante. I don't know if you know who that is. He's an actor. But at the time, he had quit high school to go on to acting. And my client thought at the time, oh, you quit high school, you're going to become a nobody. I can't be with you. Even though I care about you, I can't be with you because I want wealth. That's what she wanted. Well, joke's on her, right? Anyhow, so she dumped him, and she met this other guy, and he had money, his family had money. He wasn't all that interested in her, but she did this spell, and she had to literally, like, this woman made her go out and, I don't know, get stuff that is really hard to find. Like, she had to go into different cultured markets to find, like, different ingredients for this spell. And by the time I met her, she had been married to him for, I don't know, over 20 years. She was absolutely miserable, and he was head over heels in love with her. So is that the spell? I don't know, but you got to be careful with love spells because that's usually what happens. Either the spell worked or something, But yeah, she was miserable. But my point in that is, back then we didn't have the internet. Back then, it wasn't so easily accessible. If you wanted anything, regardless of what you wanted to learn about, we actually had encyclopedias then. Do you remember that? Encyclopedia Britannica? The guy would come to the door and sell it, We had encyclopedias, we had libraries, we still have libraries, believe it or not. You go to the library and research a subject. You would get in your encyclopedia, research a subject. You would find people. You would get out your phone book or research and find people, experts in the field, and actually call these people, meet these people, write to them, not an email, but actually, write a letter, call them on the phone, whatever. And you would have to literally, make it a point. You would have to put effort into learning something, whether it be magic or science or whatever it is that you wanted to learn. You had to actually put effort into it. So it wasn't as easy as Googling something. It wasn't as easy as getting on YouTube and seeing, 500 different types of opinions on this kind of stuff. So you had to literally go out and meet people. My point with that is, in that era with the, the Satanism and the black magic and all that being so popular, these people had to actually put effort into it, which means you could run into some pretty shady characters, in your research, you had time to maybe second guess yourself, I'm not saying it wasn't dangerous. I mean, there was a lot of different stories that went on back then. I don't know how many of them were just stories, how many of them were true, but there's a lot of different stories back then. And just, how's... Nowadays, an 11-year-old, 10-year-old, 9-year-old kid can just get on the computer and look stuff up. Back then, it would have been a lot more difficult. The kid would have had to get a ride, would have had to call people. Chances are his parents might have found out, that kind of thing. So now, fast forward to this day and age, and we've got a lot of that kind of stuff still goes on. It's not the same. It's not, back then it was almost glamorized, Now we've got a lot of different philosophies, and I know they were always out there, but now with the internet, it's just so much easier, to connect with somebody like that. And nowadays with YouTube, with Google, with, whatever, the internet, 2 9-year-old kids at school get in an argument, and one of them decides they're going to zap the other, looks up some kind of spell, and they're playing with fire. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because so many people, I don't know if it's just coming around again or what, but I've heard about it in the younger generation, the 20-somethings, really into it. But into it in a way that they don't study anything. They probably don't even know who Anton LaVey is. They don't know anything about anything, but yet they're diving right in, In any field, that's dangerous. They're either diving in with angels and all that kind of stuff, or they're diving in with demons. Either way can be extremely dangerous, because a lot of times when they think they're calling on angels, they're actually calling on, demons, maybe. And then there's others who are definitely hate-filled, and they're definitely doing it on purpose. And like I said, they can just go on like anything and find, you want to spell to, I don't know, break somebody up. Look it up, you'll find it, It's a scary world. So I'm encountering this again and now we have something else to add to the mix. Now, not to say that back then we didn't have drugs, because absolutely we did. Like I said, cocaine was king, I don't think there was anybody I knew who hadn't at least tried it. A lot of people actively did it. And then there was the hallucinogenics, which, yeah, I would imagine if you're playing with magic, can get pretty intense. But now we have other drugs that are, I swear, they're demonically made. And any kind of drug, any kind of addiction, I believe, is ruled by a negative force, a demonic force. Because it's out to destroy you, and what better way to do it, Nobody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's anybody out there who started drugs saying, hey, I'm going to become an addict and ruin my life, You try drugs because you're trying to cover something up. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to ease the pain. Whatever. There's something going on there. So, anyhow. And there's a lot of, not only are there the drugs, heroines or opiates are like a massive epidemic right now where I am. But you know what else is? Crystal meth. And nobody's really talking about it. I know back in California that happened, like their epidemic happened like years ago, and I think they've moved on to like Flacca or whatever. Maybe they still have a meth problem, I don't know. But here in New England, we have a massive meth problem. And nobody's talking about it because as far as politics or whatever, because they're all into the opiate addiction or opioid addiction. I'm sorry, but we got meth going around. And that stuff, not that I'm saying heroin's okay, because it certainly isn't. But crystal meth is the devil. I think any drug, like I said, is kind of... Anyhow. It kind of run by the demons, but crystal meth really. And then we've got all these personality disorders, like I was talking about before. Even people that aren't on drugs or whatever, that we've got so much evil going around, minus drugs. Anyway, you add somebody who's negative anyway, or bordering on insane, and then you give them this drug, and then you give them this magic, or you just give them the magic. Whatever, combination of any of those, and they start going after people. And then you've got the other people who are also on drugs, so they're easy targets, or they're they're really hurt by this person, so they're living in pain versus sending out love, so they're easy targets. It's a scary, scary world. If you have children or if you have relatives or whatever that are in the 20-something range or younger, and older than that too, people mess with it, but don't fool yourself that it's not going on. It is. When I was younger, because of the natural gifts I was born with, I never got into anything black or anything. I never got into magic at all. But I had learned how to manipulate energy. So I remember times where I just put it out there for I would bind people and I would mute people. I remember one time this woman just kept talking, and I had a headache, and it was and I muted her just by putting it out there. So it's possible. I know it's possible. You add the negative to that. I don't do that stuff anymore. I just don't, because I've come to know Jesus, and I just don't do it. But I know that there are people out there that I've just recently found out. I had a suspicion, but I just recently found out that there's somebody who's purposely casting, and I don't know which spells, but casting spells on my family. So how do you block a spell? Don't block a spell with a spell. I guess you could, but the biggest thing is love. So you got to remember that God trumps all, okay? And a lot of people listen to this and go, no, it's not even true. Or I'm not into that, so I don't have to worry about it. Well, you don't have to be into it. Like I said, I'm not into it. My kids aren't into it, but yet they found themselves caught up in it. All it takes is one person that's either angry or being, heavily influenced by negative energies, that wants to play with some magic. And like I said, it's as easy today as Googling something or, researching it on the internet. In 5 minutes, you've got 100 different ways to do something, And even more dangerous is somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but they're playing with it. Somebody who knows what they're doing, like a high priestess, a high priest, whatever they call themselves, is absolutely dangerous because they know what they're doing. But in some ways, like the novice is more dangerous because they might just be messing around, think they're not doing anything, and they're out there, zapping people, don't know how to fix it, I don't want to mess with anybody that does black magic. That's just it's not something I want to do. But like I said, there's these novices out there who are really messing things up and have no clue. So, what do? You surround yourself in love. And spread it out there. Spread it out there, spread it out there. And just remember that God is more powerful than any other being. He's all-knowing, he's omnipotent, he's all-powerful, he's the creator of everything. Lean on him. And it may sound simple, but really, lean on him. I just wanted to kind of make everybody aware that it's out there. And if you're dealing with something like this, don't let fear get you, because the negative entities are going to thrive off that. The person who's casting this out, especially if it's not their heritage, it's not their, like, it's not something they grew up with. You know, it's not them as a person. They're just playing with it because they're evil. It's gonna, if you fear them, it's going to just explode their ego, and they're just gonna get off on it and do more. So don't let fear rule you. The spirit of fear is not of God. And you just have that love act as a boomerang almost, you know? And you can see what love will do is neutralize that energy. And a lot of people will, like, send it back, like a mirror effect or like a boomerang effect. Dissipation's better because then nobody gets hurt. But just put it in God's hands. Let God take care of it. See, you're so tempted, especially when, you know, like I said, I mean, I never worked with black magic, but when I used to, you know, I was younger and I went down the wrong path. It's like you think you can take care of it yourself. You know, I'll get God for the big stuff, but I don't want to bother him today, so I'll take care of it. And that's not what he wants. He wants you to put it in his hands. And sometimes it can be really tempting just to say, you know what, zap that me, you know. It can be really tempting, but sleep on it first, you know, and talk to him and pray about it. But the biggest thing is, like, raising your vibration and surrounding yourself in love. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I didn't get out everything I wanted to get out about this subject. Maybe I'll talk about it later. But if you have had experiences like this, or if you know anybody that's into a drug and you think there's demonic entities connected, you're not crazy. So if the world is telling you you're crazy and no, it's just drug addiction and blah, 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 message me, because you're not crazy. I will talk with you about it, talk you through it, try to give you some tips on how to handle this kind of stuff. And, you know, all we can do is support each other. We need to be there for each other. We need to be there for each other. This world is getting darker by the day. We need to be there for each other. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.